Well, a good Thursday morning to everybody on 10 with Tom. It's good to see everybody this morning. Today is an exciting day for me. It only happens once a year, and today is the beginning of baseball season. Now, it's a little later than normal. We're not used to having opening day of the baseball season be this late in July. It's usually something that happens at the end of March or the beginning of April. But that's always been a day that I've looked forward to because I love baseball. I can remember as a kid that was one of the few days that you were allowed to skip school and nobody would notice. When the Pirates had their home opener in Pittsburgh and we would go down to Three River Stadium and watch the games, there would be so many kids missing school. And if you were one of those that didn't get a ticket for opening day, you'd sneak your transistor radio in and put your earphones down and try and hide the radio in your shirt and have the earphones up so you could listen to the game in class. And then for those that weren't lucky enough to have radios, you'd put a little scoreboard on your shoe and update the score every half inning, and a lot of good memories of opening days. I can even remember one opening day when I was in college. It was during finals week, and we went over to the game, and it snowed, and it was miserable, and we had a blast because it was baseball. And so I've always enjoyed opening day. And so today, because of the pandemic, it's getting a late start, but there are two Major League Baseball games today, and then everybody else gets started tomorrow. It's going to be a short season, but hopefully it'll be a fun season. And the best part about opening day, everybody is undefeated. Everybody has hope. And so that's a really, really cool day. Now, the story for today revolves around baseball. And I don't know if you have any baseballs at your house, if they're ones that you play with, or maybe you've got a baseball that just has special significance to you. Maybe it's one that you got at a game. You caught a foul ball, or a player flipped the ball to you, and you got it. Maybe you got his autograph on it. So it might have special significance. Maybe it was a ball that was handed down from a parent or a grandparent. But trying to get baseballs at a baseball game is often a lot of fun too. And so one night at Yankee Stadium there was a baseball game, and it was a good night for the Yankees. They had their ace pitcher on the mound, and a bunch of kids were there, and just enjoying a good night out. And in the second inning, there was a foul ball that was ripped into the stands. And of course, when the foul ball goes into the stands, everybody chases it. Well, the ball hit a seat, start bouncing all around, and there's kids scrambling everywhere. And just as a 9-year-old boy was about to reach down and pick up the ball, an older guy, probably in his mid-30s, guy with glasses, he reaches down and he picks up the ball, and he just kind of puts it away. And so this guy has a ball. And the kid, you could tell he was devastated. He was so close to claiming that ball. And when you have the ball, you got bragging rights with your friends. That's such a cool thing. And all of a sudden, he didn't get it. And he kind of put his hat down over his eyes so that nobody could see him. He's probably crying a little bit. And his big moment was gone. And so the people around the guy that got the ball started a chant. Give the kid the ball. Give the kid the ball. Give the kid the ball. And pretty soon, the thing went around the stadium, and you had the entire stadium yelling, give the kid the ball. Give the kid the ball. And you talk about some peer pressure. But the guy shook his head, and he just went back to watching the game, and the fans were booing, and about every time there was a break in the game, the fans would start up the chant again, give the kid the ball. Give the kid the ball. Well, people around this kid, they started doing things for him. They buying him ice cream and buying him peanuts and getting him a hot dog and trying to make the kid feel better. Everybody's pitching in, trying to make sure that the kid has a better experience. Well, then another guy came over and just very nicely decided to have a conversation with the guy with the glasses who had the baseball. And nobody really knows what he said to the guy, but pretty soon the guy with the glasses got up from his seat and he walked over to the kid and he gave the kid the baseball. Well, you would have thought it was Christmas morning. The kid was so excited, and somebody yelled, he gave the kid the ball. And all of a sudden it started going around the stadium. He gave the kid the ball. He gave the kid the ball. Well, now suddenly, instead of being the villain, people were excited and cheering and clapping, and now he was like a hero. And the play stopped as the crowd was getting louder and louder, and everybody's looking up to see what was going on, and they see this kid with the ball, and he's showing it to all his friends, and he's having so much fun. Well, then something really amazing happened. After the kid got his first ball, other people that had gotten balls during the game started to make their way over and giving this kid, a guy gave him another ball. Pretty soon here comes another guy, and he hands the kid a ball. And so as the game ended, the kid who was so devastated earlier in the game now had 3 baseballs and an incredible story to take home. What a great, great thing for this kid. And everybody that was at the game, they'll never forget that story of the guy with the baseball. And so, having watched that, I think of times, when I was a kid and I wanted to get a baseball, we went to a night game at Forbes Field, which hasn't been there in a long, long time. But it was a Monday night game, and my dad took me, and we always bought tickets in the cheap seats. Well, as we were going into the stadium, or we were almost to the stadium, a guy said, "Are you going to the game?" And my dad said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I've got 2 tickets." He said, "One of the players is a friend of mine, and I don't have time to stay for the game, but I wanted to come in and see him." So he gave me free tickets. And he said, "You won't be able to use these to get into the game, but if you buy the cheap seats, you can use my tickets and sit in my seats." So we thanked him, and we thought, well, is this a scam or whatever? But he didn't ask us for any money. And so when we got in the stadium, we went to his seats, and we were really up close. And they were great seats. Well, as fate would have it, it started raining. And so when it was raining, my dad said, "Hey, let's go up under the roof so we don't get soaking wet, but we can stay and watch the game." And about 5 minutes after we left our seat, a guy hit a foul ball right to where we had been sitting. In fact, the ball hit the chair that I was sitting in. But it was a wicked line drive, and for me as a kid, it would not have been a pretty sight if I'd have tried to catch that one. I probably would have broken something. In fact, when we got back to those seats later in the game, my seat was broken. The ball had hit the wooden seat so hard that it cracked it. Well, I had a story, but I didn't have the baseball. But later on, I did get a baseball. I was at an ACC tournament game over in St. Petersburg. And it was a loser's bracket game. It was early in the morning, and I was sitting in the first row behind the dugout. And because it was a loser's bracket game and it was early in the morning, there were probably only about 50 people at the game. And so I'm sitting behind the dugout. I've got my feet on the dugout roof, and a guy hits a foul ball off the back wall of the stadium. And when it hit the back wall, it started to roll down the steps. Well, it rolled down all of the steps and landed right next to the dugout, right at where my feet would have been if my feet would have been on the floor. And so I took my feet off the dugout roof, I reached down, I picked up the baseball, and then I took my hat and I kind of tipped my cap to the crowd. And a guy on the other end of the stadium yelled loud enough that everybody heard it. "I bet you're really proud of that one." Well, you know what, I was, because it was cool. I finally had a baseball. And so I have that baseball at home from the ACC baseball tournament. We love catching foul balls. But my favorite foul ball story involved a couple of students who used to come here. Carter Samaglia and Cameron Kelly. They're much older now. But I took them to a baseball game at UNF one time. And that night, they made it a mission. Every time there was a foul ball, they wanted to get it. And so ball would go flying out of play, and they'd go running after it. And when they got the first one, they said, "Well, what do we do with it?" And I said, "Well, you can keep it." And they said, "Oh, you won't have to throw it back?" I'm like, "No." Well, what they started doing was looking for little kids that were at the game. And every time a foul ball went into the stands, Carter and Cam would go and get it. And then they would find a kid and give it to them. And they made a lot of kids' faces light up that night. They made a lot of parents happy. And what a great testimony. The Bible tells us that we are to treat others the way we would like to be treated. And man, they lived that out. And so I encourage you today as we start a new baseball season. Maybe you're not into baseball, but I know there's some ways that you can do something good for somebody else. So make somebody's day today a better day. And if you do like baseball, enjoy the baseball season. This could be the last day your team's in first place. We've got a game day today. We're here from 10 to 4, and so I hope you can join us. If not, hopefully we'll see you this weekend. But know that I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Have a great day.